I'm just like really upset because I just finished my set at the Creek. It wasn't really good because I think I had the wrong notes app. Like, I was just writing some premises today, and this is my third mic today, okay? I don't know about this. Anyways, right after my set, Thai Rivera came on and just slandered me.
Everything bothers him.
He's unbothered.
He calls it unbothered, but that's what's cute because everything bothers him. He's bothered. I'm a botherina.
What's up, everybody? That was just like an intro to get you guys ready for what was going to happen. Who knows what I said? Who knows what I'll edit? We'll see how it goes. But what I do know is right now I have my friend Kevin Willard here with me.
Hello.
Kevin has been helping me edit some stuff. And yes, we are going to get to the story about the pole dancing show, which I don't remember the name of the exact company. I put it on my Facebook. I'll put it here just to really throw them under the bus, which that's not really the point of it's not really the point of why I'm doing this, but at the same time, call a spade, because I am going to throw them under the bus, and deservedly so, because that one chick, Jonna, that works for them, or she's one of the main producers. I don't remember her last name, but Jonna's enough. I'll put her Instagram right here. Like, you'll see a quick like screenshot of it just to really throw her under the bus because she really got on my nerves.
The show is called Punchline, right? And you don't know the
Punchline
name of the actual...
ATX, I think is what they are on Instagram. I think that's what they are. And if not, don't hit up Punchline ATX, everybody. Don't listen to me. Don't even hit up what's on the screen. No harassment. This isn't about harassing people. It's not. It's just so you guys know, especially because this one is especially for the Austin comedy community. And the reason that I do want to talk about this is because we do have a good scene here in Austin. So for whatever people want to say about their little and I don't even hear about a lot of that stuff, like personal problems between a lot of the comics, but it happens sometimes. But for all that stuff, really, this scene does pay some money. You know, people are getting paid gigs on this scene. And we have a good little thing going here where people get paid on the honor system, basically. And so you don't have a contract usually. And it'll just be like you're getting paid this much to do this show. And then you really do have to have faith in them because almost everybody here pays Venmo, which like isn't traditionally what you get when you're doing road gigs or small gigs like this. Usually it is just cash or at the most a check, but you know, it usually is paid the night of. But here, because of the way things work, in a lot of cases, people are going through Eventbrite or different ticketing systems, and that makes it so they have to wait to get their check in order to be able to pay everybody out. And so you really do just trust that the people that say they're going to pay you are going to pay you, and they're going to do it in a somewhat timely fashion. And I don't think it's fair that people would, which I'm going to talk about in the story, but A, not try to pay you what it is that you had discussed, or conveniently leave out that they had an agreement with you and try to make you believe that the agreement was something other than what it was. And also, they made a lot of money. They really did make a lot of money. And what they were trying to pay us compared to what they made was just unfair. And if you do that, and that was just the agreement to begin with, I guess, okay, I get it. Next time, negotiate better. But really, I feel like if you come to us as comedians and say, hey, we don't know how this show is going to do, so your guarantee is going to be very low. And then we say, okay, we'll do your show anyway because we love Sunset, and not because it's you necessarily, but because we love Sunset and anything we can do to help them raise their visibility and have a packed out show and them be able to make money as well off the bar and whatever percentage of the ticket sales they get. Then if you really hit it big, then I feel like just karmically at that point. You should be like, okay, we'll kick you a little bit more money. And even if it just happened to be maybe double what it was you said you were going to give, which wasn't shit anyway. I mean, it just isn't. Because what they were... Well, I don't know how to go at this. First off, I just cannot stress enough that I don't know that chick, Jonna. Like she said that I knew her. And the reason that I want to be very clear about this is because this was part of her defense for why she was trying to kind of avoid paying me what it is that we had agreed on. Was she was trying to tell Sunset that we were friends and that it was basically a personal thing between me and her. And I'm just like, I don't know this chick like that. And then she added, because, you know, the best lies have the truth peppered in them. And so she did me a number like that. And it was very annoying. So here's the way the story goes. And Kevin, just ask some questions when you have a question. If something doesn't sound right or something sounds like, hey, I need clarification.
Yeah.
That's where you just chime in and ask me a question.
I'm wondering, like, you're not going to talk about actual numbers, are you? You're not going to, like, put real numbers out there.
Of course I am.
Oh, you are?
There's no other way to do this, Kevin.
So how much did they make?
Some of them are going to be estimates, though. So I don't know exactly what they made. But, well, the truth is, I do. All right, I need to get it together. I need to be a professional. But
11,000.
I don't know exactly what they made, okay? But what I do know is the day of the show, they told us that 200 tickets had been sold. So if you go with 200 tickets at $20 a pop, that would be $4,000.
Yeah, that's $4,000.
Yeah. But when you figure in that the ticket prices were not $20, they were, I believe, $35. And then they also were selling, I believe it was $350 VIP packages. And that came with the bottle of champagne, which we all know champagne isn't setting you back like that, you know, so they are making quite a profit off of that. And then they had, I think it was like $55. And these numbers, I have a text that has because another comic sent it to me and was like, how is it they were charging this much? And I won't say who the comic was, but I'll post the text right here so you guys can see the real numbers as far as what they were charging for the VIP and for the preferred tickets.
Yeah,
which
so
I believe
you're saying they made like $7,000 just on tickets before you add in the extra from VIP and champagne.
Yeah, probably. And so, and that place was packed. Like when they sold 200 by day of, but who knows what they sold after walk-ups and stuff like that, because it was completely packed. And I was happy to see that, because you have to remember that before everything went down the way it went down that night, I really was wishing the best on these girls and hoping that it would just be a good, successful show. Because what happened was, I originally, like 6 weeks ago or something like that, I met one of them. Her name's Claire. John I had met before, but I cannot stress enough, I don't know her. And when I say I don't know her, I mean like we weren't friends, as in she's on my phone, we're hanging out, whatever. She might have my number because they were at the Kill Tony thing. And so we'll just talk about the Claire part and then we'll get to the Jonna part, because I feel like that's the best way to go at it. So what happened was, one night I was hanging out at the Creek and I was doing a set for them, or I was doing a set for one of the open mics. I don't remember which. There's like 2 open mics that I regularly will perform at the Creek. One of them is Monday night for Sam. Mm-hmm. That's the one I call Fat Club. And then the other one...
Why do you call it Fat Club?
Number 1 rule of Fat Club: you don't talk about Fat Club. So
my mistake.
There you go, Kevin. Like, stop asking me for details I can't give. All you need to know is it's called Fat Club. It's on Monday nights. I think it starts at 10. I usually go up around midnight. But and then there's also Xavier Cardona's mic that happens on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think that one starts at 11 though.
No, it's midnight too.
Is it midnight?
I thought it was midnight as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I believe you. I don't know. usually when I'm at the Creek, I hang out there pretty much all night. So whatever time it starts, and then Xavier will usually come out to me at some point and be like, "Do you want to go up?" And then will be like, "Let me know when you want to go up. We'll get you on as soon as you want to go." And so then I usually walk in and I'm like, "Okay, give me 2 or 3 comics from now, and then I'll go up."
Yeah.
And, it's an open mic, so I get to try new stuff sometimes. Sometimes I decide to give them an actual set. If they have audience, I'll give them an actual set so that, it just keeps people there, hopefully, if they see. Because, like open micers are doing open mic things, so they're working on new material. And I don't hate on that process, but it's not always the most fun to watch for the audience. So if they get a comic,
can be pretty brutal, yeah.
Yeah, so if they get a comic like me that's got some experience that'll give them an actual set, then maybe they're more likely to be like, okay, we'll hang out for a couple more. And so that's the way I do it with both of them. And so on this particular night, I don't remember whose night it was, but I was just in one of my moods. So I absolutely fucking destroyed it. That audience fucking loved me. People were screaming. You would have thought it was an actual show. And it really was that great. Like, I really had just, like, I don't know what got into me. I don't know if it was the spirit of the Lord.
It probably was.
Yeah, something happened, and I just fucking rocked it for them. And then this girl walks up to me, who I would later come to find out was named Claire. And right after I get off stage, it's kind of like having gauze in my head. So I'm not really hearing a lot of what's going on. But she walked up to me, and I remember her saying, "It's good to meet you. You're actually going to be on my show." And I was like, "Oh, what show is that?" And then she was like, "It's a pole dance show that we're doing with comedy. Sunset had told us that they'd booked you." And so I was just like, I didn't remember. And even Anthony from Sunset, who, like, if they say that Sunset booked me, Anthony usually handles the booking there. So that would be Anthony that she dealt with, unless she had said something different, then I assume it's Anthony. And, I have a good relationship with Sunset. I love Sunset. Like, I've told people that's like the club that I feel the most at home at on stage. I feel the most free there to try a bunch of new stuff. I love Creek. I love Mothership. But when it comes to actual just having a good time on stage, for some reason, Sunset is my spot. And so
you don't know why?
I don't know why. I think it's just the energy. Yeah, something about it. I'm a real energetic person, or like, I believe in energy a lot. And so like something about the energy just really agrees with me there. And so even when it's dead there, I have really great sets and I have a lot of fun. And so, or even on there, open mic, when it's like real open mic, and you know how open mics can be with nothing but comics and stuff. Even then I'll have fun there. I just love that spot. And so when she told me that Sunset booked me, I'm trying to make sure that I don't make Sunset look bad in the way that I say, no, I'm not doing your show, or I'm not booked for it. I'm trying to act kind of like, not I know, but like, cool, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, I'm booked. And so I tell her, I ask her, I was like, what show is that? And then she was like, it's pole dance show. And then she scrolls through her phone and she shows me that I'm tagged in a flyer, but I'm not actually pictured in the flyer. And because she was like, we tagged you. And I was like, yeah, I don't pay attention to all my tags on Instagram, which is true. A lot of times people tag me in stuff that I don't care about. And so I won't look at it. So I don't notice every tag. And so I didn't know what she was talking about. She showed me, I wasn't pictured on the flyer, but I was tagged in it. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what am I being paid to do this show? And then she said, well, what would you want to do the show? And so I was like, well, I'm on, what's it called all the time, 6th on the weekends anyway. I'm going to be in that area. And I was also, though, keeping in mind that even though Sunset had told them I was booked, this is still an independent booker that I don't have a relationship with. And so a lot of the spots when you're doing the weekends here in, like on 6th especially, specifically I should say, because you'll get paid more to be off 6th. But a lot of times on 6th, it'll be anywhere from $30 to, at the most, usually $100, to be on 6th. And so I'm not going to try to gouge this chick, but I'm also not going to treat her like family either. And so I told her that I would want a minimum of $60 to do their show. And so she was like, well, this is our first time doing the show, and we don't know what we're going to be able to sell. So we were thinking that it would be like, 25 plus tips is what we would do. And we would push your Venmo and push your Cash App so that people would tip you from the audience. She was like, if we end up doing well at the door, we don't mind paying you the $60, but what we can guarantee is 25 plus tips. And, I get it. And I understand not wanting to lose your shirt because you're promising comics more money than you can actually pay out, or you're going to be able to pay out.
So she said, if we do well at the door, you'll get more.
Yeah, if we do well at the door, we don't mind paying you the $60. That's what she said, or the $60. She was like, if we do well at the door, we don't mind paying you the $60, but what we can guarantee is 25 plus tips. So I say, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. And that's the way the conversation went. I went I was like, good meeting you. See you at the show. I went my way. She went hers. That was the end of that part. So then we get to the day of the show, and we get the text message, the group message that says we sold 200 tickets. We're looking at a sellout for tonight, blah, blah, blah. Because sold out would be like, I think 250 is what is completely sold out at Sunset.
Yeah.
But if they take out all the seats, if they were to do it more like concert style or like, a music show, then it could be, I think 350 is what it could be. And so it's, it had to be at least 250 that were there the night of by the time we actually did the show. And it was crowded. It was packed. It was great. And so when I saw that in my head, I was thinking, I'm definitely getting my $60 because they sold 200 tickets, which at the time I didn't know what they were charging for tickets because that's not really my business and it's not my part of it and I don't really care. All I know is that at a minimum, it's usually $20 for tickets for Sunset, and so I'm like, I'm definitely going to get the $60. That will not be a thing. Plus Boneseye told me he was going, and he was taking his two brothers with him, and I told him that I'd put him, because he told me he was going to go, and Boneseye, which if you don't know makes the books for Kill Tony. And so that's, his connection to the comedy world. And then we became friends. And we had gone to dinner, me, him, and one of his brothers, like the night before or something like that. And so, we've been hanging out quite a bit lately. I love that guy. He's really great.
Yeah, the book's right there.
Yeah, he made me my own book. And what's it called? So Boneseye said he was going to be there. And I told him, yeah, I'll get you on the guest list. And then make sure that your name's on the list so you don't have to pay, or, I can come out and get you or whatever like that. And then he hit me up a little while later and said, I'm going to bring my two brothers with me. He was like, but I don't mind paying for them. I appreciate you getting me in. And I, again, am thinking, let these girls make their money, because in my head, I'm like, I know I could get his two brothers on the guest list too, or just have them come in. But I'm cool with these chicks making money. And I know Boneseye isn't poor, and it's not going to hurt him to actually just pay for two tickets, or his brothers. His brothers are also successful. They, they have good jobs, I should say. They're engineers, and so they can afford to pay $30 a ticket or whatever it is, or So I'm like, all right, cool. Then we'll see you guys there, And so that's what happens. His two brothers get in, and paid, I assume. And then everything's going fine. The pole dancers are all making a bunch of money. Literally, no lie, ask anybody that was there, basket of money, each one of them. The kind of totes that have the holes
they were
in them.
Walking around the crowd collecting tips.
Well, the people were just running up because they're on the pole for the most part.
Oh.
And so people were just running up and throwing money on the stage, and then you'd see them come to the back. I spent most of the time in the green room. Then you'd see them coming back with their literal basket of money, and I'm not exaggerating a little bit. It was full. And so who knows what that is, you know, like $100 each or something like that right there. So that happens like that. There are a couple annoying things that happen during the show, which I feel are worth mentioning just because they let you know how clueless these people are when it comes to comics. One of the girls, which is Claire, I ended up finding out Jonna was producing, which I had known Jonna. I had met Jonna through my friend Ali Musa, who was also on the show. And I met her at Creek, and she was telling me how much she loved my Instagram and that kind of stuff, and we were just talking. But we didn't become friends. And sometimes I do become friends with people like that, where I'm just instantly like, we'll exchange phone numbers and then we'll be friends like that. But that wasn't the situation with her. I was being cool with her because she was Ollie's friend, and I was being very cordial, but I didn't feel a real connection with her. So it was just like,
Which is fine.
Yeah, and it was just a chick I met, you know what I mean? Like, maybe later we can develop a friendship or whatever. She would hit me up after that on DMs, though. You know, like, every once in a while I'd post food, and she'd be like, I've had those. They're actually excellent, you know?
Looks delicious.
Yeah, you got to come over. I'll cook for you sometime. Stuff like that, you know? And I'm a public figure.
You're a politician.
I'm not gonna pretend like people don't send me these things in the DMs regularly, you know. And it's sweet, it's nice, I don't mind it, but it doesn't mean we've established that relationship now. And I actually would go to dinner at your place or let you cook for me or whatever you're trying to do. It's just a nice thing to say.
It's not like a genuine invitation. It's just like, let's do that sometime, and you're like, but not really.
Yeah, and like, you know, I don't hang out with my friends like that. You know, a lot of times I don't, you know, I mean, like, I don't, like, I'm not that guy usually, you know. I do my own thing. I'm busy, and when I get a chance to hang out, we go to dinner at a spot or something.
Yeah, maybe a late night Denny's.
Yeah, late night Denny's, because Waffle House isn't having it. I don't blame them. A lot of shenanigans happen at Waffle House.
Yeah.
But
chairs flying around.
Yeah, nobody wants a chair. I do a joke about it. You know, I love cheese, eggs, and raisin toast, but I'm not willing to catch a sugar shaker in the side of the head over it. But yeah, so she sends me stuff like that. So I guess it's a good time to bring it up. Later on, she ends up relaying it to Anthony that when she says the part about us being friends and stuff like that, that I had gotten her into the Kill Tony 10-year anniversary, which is not true. What happened was Ali Musa had told me that he wanted to go to the 10-year anniversary. He was signing up for it, but he wasn't able to get tickets. And so I have been friends with Ali long enough that in my head, I just filed that because I was going to the 10-year anniversary, but I'm going as a friend of the show. So I'm going to go in a whole different way than they do, you know, or than he would. I go in through the back and, you know, I get a lanyard and it's that kind of situation.
Yep.
But it's a big enough event that I don't feel comfortable inviting anybody or bringing anybody along with me, or I don't even feel like I have that option, even though quite possibly I do if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's not something I'm going to exercise or even try to exercise. You know, I'm getting in. Thank you for inviting me. That's enough.
Yeah.
And so just by happenstance, because Ali had told me that I think the day before or something, somebody hits me up the day of the show and is like, I saw you perform in, I don't remember what state it was, maybe
China.
Montana. I wish it was China. I could use ExpressVPN. But what's it called? It was like Montana. I don't remember. Some state nobody cares.
How dare you talk about Montana that way?
But it was some state nobody cares about, you know?
Yeah.
And so they had seen me there, and he was like, was supposed to be at the Kill Tony 10-year anniversary. I bought 2 tickets because I really wanted to go. I'm not going to be able to make it after all. I don't want the tickets to go to waste. Do you know anybody that can use them? And in my head, I'm like, Ali Musa wants a ticket. And so I am like, sure. And what do I have to do to get them? And he's like, they're through Ticketmaster. So just send me your email address and then I'll transfer them over.
Mm-hmm.
So I wait for them to transfer over because I don't want to lie to anybody or get anybody's hopes up.
Yep.
Once they transfer over, I hit up Ali Musa and I'm like, hey, I just got sent 2 tickets to Kill Tony 10 Year. So if you want, I'll give you 1 ticket, or you can have both tickets if you know somebody that wants to go. And I had also hit up Yonder at first, though, because Yonder ended up getting in, with another group. He said a couple other groups had tickets for him, but I wanted to hit him up first just to make sure that he was taken care of, because, maybe he wasn't going to, I don't know what was happening. I just wanted to make sure Yonder was taken care of. Love Yonder. And so, I hit Yonder up. Yonder said I'm good or whatever. So then that's when I let Ollie know fully, yeah, the second ticket is available if you know anybody that wants to use that one. So, which that part I don't remember exactly how it went down, if I told Ollie first about the 2 tickets, but I definitely was waiting to hear from Yonder before I told Ollie that he would be getting the 2, confirming that for him. So once I confirmed it, he was like, oh, my friend Jonna that you met the other night, because I had met her like a little bit before that, wants to go too. He was like, so I'll offer her the other ticket. My exact attitude was like, I don't care who you give it to.
Yeah.
It's not my business. Like, whatever you do, you do. You've got 2 tickets. Do what you want with them. I don't even care if you go, really.
You're like, yeah, somebody just told me they had free tickets, so here you go. Like,
yeah,
that was a nice coincidence.
Yeah,
really.
and that's the way I felt. But my life works out kind of perfect. Like I always tell people, these things always happen for me. So for me, yes, it's great, but also it's kind of just the way it works. So I'm like, all right. I transfer them over to Ollie at that point so that he has full access to them, and so that happens. Me and Ollie go to eat at this place, North Italia, I believe it was, right there next to the venue that Kill Tony 10 Year was held at. I don't remember the name of the venue. Don't ask. And so we go eat. Jonna shows up while we're eating. I may or may not have offered her a piece of bread. I don't.
That's so nice of you.
This is friendship. And so
you guys must be really close.
Yeah, super close.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I really don't remember if I did offer her bread. Somebody offered her bread. I remember seeing her eat bread.
Was there butter with it or no?
No, it was just the what's it called? Focaccia bread.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's got like the cheese on it or whatever. It was decent bread. All right. The place tastes good. Altogether, the food is good at that spot. But the bread, I've had some good bread in my time.
The bread was shit?
I didn't say it was shit. Don't put words in my mouth, Kevin.
It was subpar? What was it?
It was bread, Kevin.
Average?
Yeah. It was just bread.
Focaccia bread, you would hope, was like above average, like good bread.
Yeah, it was just okay. I mean, I remember asking for olive oil and balsamic vinegar so that I could, dip it in there.
Get a little wet.
Yeah, get a little I don't like your tone. And so, I'm not liking what you're doing right now. Whatever you're doing, stop it.
All right. I'm a big focaccia guy, so I got excited.
Yeah, well, don't go to North Italia. Okay, who am I mad at? North Italia or the pole dance girls? Because I think I have.
They're getting roped into the whole thing now.
Yeah, it's just gotten ugly now.
Yeah.
So, like I said, she eats with us. She has some bread. Now who's exaggerating? So she has some bread with us while we eat, and then we get out of there so that we can make it to the show in time. They go the peasant's way. I go the VIP way. It's a night that it should
life.
be. Yeah, it really is life. And so
she had bread. She's a peasant.
Exactly.
That's her whole meal. That's like what Aladdin eats.
It's all she had. Yeah, she's a street rat.
That's
Okay,
a little.
this part is a joke, you guys. Just so you know, I don't really think she's a street rat. I mean, I don't like her. I'm not a fan, but I'm like this. I'm not meaning this part.
That was brutal. Yeah.
Okay, so this street rat goes her way with Ali Musa, and whatever. It's the night that it is. Like it was a good night. It was a fun night. So that's the way I knew her, or that's the extent that I know her. So back to the show. So I end up finding out that she's one of the producers on the show after I get there. The original producer that I met, Claire, was upset because like the show was supposed to start, I think, at 9:00. I don't get there until 10 because they had sent us out the lineup, and I was going to go last anyway. Well, no show starts right at the time it's supposed to start. So I know there's no reason for me to get there by 9 because I'm going to be sitting around waiting for the show to start. There's also no reason for me to get there anywhere before 9:30 or 9:45 because I'm not going to be close to going up. They're going to have pole dancers. They're going to have comedians. They have, I believe, 4 other comedians. Yeah, I think it was 4 other comedians that they had. Or maybe it was 3, 4. Yeah, I think it was 4. So a total of 5 if you count me. So, I know that the way the lineup is going to work, that's probably going to be 10 minutes each. Then there's the dancers on top of it. So me getting there around 10 o'clock makes the most sense to me. So I get there like 10:15, something like that. Find parking. I did my hair. I filled in my eyebrows, not like right now. And so I was ready to do a show.
I'll fill them in and I'll edit some in post.
If you could. I was going to say, don't be stupid. And then I was like,
Well, if it's an option, yeah.
Maybe a little color correction and get rid of that wrinkle in my forehead. Anyway,
that.
There's a lot happening right now. But I get there like 10 o'clock. And Casey Rocket was supposed to be right before me. Casey got there like shortly after me. All of this is completely normal. None of it's unprofessional. And all of a sudden, this chick, Claire, is sitting there being passive-aggressive on her computer, doing whatever she's doing. I think checking the books, really, counting money. And she is like, comics get here so late. I mean, like, when you're a dancer, you got a call time, and it's you're there 2 hours early. She literally said you're there 2 hours early. And I'm like, what whore school did you go to? Because pole dancers... I can't tell you how many strippers I've known in my life. None of those bitches are on time or early anywhere.
That
Ever.
would surprise me if they were. And
They're
plus,
not.
it's like 2 hours. If you are 2 hours early, I think the biggest question is why.
They roll in with their roller bag late, like they're there to catch a flight. They have their caboodle, usually don't even have their makeup done, and then they fucking do it there. That's usually the way it works. On that night, I guess these bitches got here early. Amateurs. Anyway, the show hadn't started on time anyway. The show started at like 9:45 or something like that. You know what I mean? So like the show had barely started when I got there. And like I said, I got there closer to 10 o'clock. So
you were really there an hour before your set.
yeah, and why?
And she was calling that
why
late.
you care anyway? But yeah, and like mentioning like oh my god, comics get here so late, blah blah blah. And it's like, bitch, I don't even need to hear that. I don't even know why I'm hearing this behind the scenes shit right now. Discuss it with your other producers. Don't hire us again. That's the way I see it. Like I could have not done this show. I didn't need the $25 you were promising me. I didn't need the $60 I asked for. Either way, I don't need to be here. So, and that's one thing people need to know. Anytime you see me on a show for $30, $60, even $100, I don't need to be there. I'm there because I like doing stand-up and because I'm getting paid to do the show as a courtesy just to say, hey, we appreciate your time. But it's definitely not about the money. If I ever needed $30 or $50, I would just stay home and save $30 or $50. I think that night specifically, I spent $50 on Chinese food at that shitty truck on 6th Street.
I think it's a good truck. Sorry.
Are you talking about the one on Red River and technically 7th Street?
Yeah,
or
the one with
between
like
6th and
the one
7th?
with a bunch of trucks.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Well, it's not great compared to like a good Chinese restaurant, but like as far as just like late night horse shit, it's all right.
Eat the focaccia at Italia. You'll love it. Go to North Italia, eat the focaccia. It'll be right up your alley. It'll probably be fine dining for you.
I'm going to pick up some bread and then roll down to Red River and get some Chinese food to go with it.
Do so immediately.
Right now?
Hog heaven. You'll be in hog heaven. Yeah, so, it's like, okay, I don't need to hear this, but it is what it is. I heard it.
Yeah.
I only half care what comes out of anybody's mouth anyway. So it was a little annoying to hear that, but whatever. So then there's a situation that I didn't know that happened. Well, we'll talk about it in a second. So then what happens is we're getting closer to my actual set. And again, because I really didn't get soured on that comment, but I did take note of it because I was like, we never get talked to about time. And the other thing that people need to understand when they're talking about time, especially with people like Casey Rocket, is Casey Rocket is one of the comedians that works for Mothership. So when the comics are coming from Mothership, what they usually do is they'll clock out and then they'll walk over to whatever, Sunset or Vulcan. And then once they're done with their set, they go back, clock back in, and finish their shift. And because they're doing it that way, they'll usually message whoever's producing the show and ask when they're going to be up, or where we're at in the show, so they're not just out without needing to be out. And so that's the other thing that this chick doesn't know while she's complaining about what time we're getting there. And so what happens is she says that, and then I'm getting ready to go up. It's like 10 minutes till I'm going to go up at this point, at the point that this happens. And I have my lunch bag with me, and I have my, my purse. And I'm kicking it, just relaxing, talking to Ollie. And then Jonna walks over to me. And this is about when I really figure out she's one of the producers, because I saw her there and I know she's involved with pole dancing because she brought a pole to a party that Derek Dimful threw. Derek Dimful, a local comic here in Austin.
She brought her own pole to a party?
Yeah, one of the ones that has the base, and it's one of the kind of travel ones or whatever.
You can kind of extend it on the go.
Yeah, she brought one of those, which is similar to the setup she brought to Sunset, but she brought one of those to a party. And so I knew she was involved with pole dancing, but I didn't know her role in the show, nothing, and then she comes over to me and she's like, hey, do you mind moving your stuff really quick so I can sit next to you? And right away I feel like, bitch, maybe I don't want your energy next to me, but I'm still trying to be cool.
Why not at this point? What did she do wrong at this point?
Nothing. I just don't want anybody's energy
Okay.
close to me. It's the reason I carry so much shit in some cases, is so I have legitimate excuses.
You're like, I'd love to chat, but I have 38 bags. So, sorry. You're just surrounded by bags on every side of you.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll take up as many as 4 seats. Everybody knows that. There's one for me to sit in, one for my purse, one for my lunch bag, one for my feet. And then the ones that have my purse and my lunch bag, I usually put my arms on.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows it. You know what I mean? And I'll give up 2 of those seats.
Max.
Yeah. Because the one for my purse stays because I don't like having it on my lap. If it's Leonardo or Amy Schenker because they're my actual friends and I like their energy, but they aren't allowed to ask me to move it. I just naturally move it. Yeah. But if they walk up and ask me, I'm like, no. Get a chair. I'm a feminist. You can grab your own chair.
You're like, actually, I was about to move it, but then you asked.
And now I'm not. But no, seriously, like John Carden is another one. Rebecca. There's people that I'll move my purse for, but that's at my accord. You know what I mean? But yeah, but like I said, the other 2, the one for my feet and the one for the lunch bag, I'll put my lunch bag on with my purse. But a lot of times I do fan out that way, and it really is, not to be an asshole or anything, even though some people will still insist I am. Cool, I'll take it either way. But it is because I don't like a lot of people's energy close to me. I've talked about it before. People don't know how true it is. I am a real empath. And so I can feel people's energy really heavy on me, and I don't like it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I don't always like it. Sometimes people are real cool, and I really do enjoy what I feel off them. But a lot of people walk around with a lot of negativity, and they sit down next to me, and right away I feel drained too. I had it happen to me last night in front of Xavier. Me and Xavier were like talking outside of, I think, Chupacabra at a point, you know, right there on.
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking outside of there, and this crowd came up, like not a crowd, it was just two girls and a guy, but they right away like started trying to talk to us because they were party people from 6th, and I didn't know them from anywhere, and they right away started trying to talk to us, and they like got in super close, and I started to feel really claustrophobic, and I could feel their energy, and I did not like what I was feeling off of them, and I like literally my head started humming, and I couldn't concentrate on anything, and I at a point I literally just walked away from them.
You got to do it.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, and I told Xavier in that moment, I was like, I see you later. I'm going to get out of here. And I tried to do it as politely as possible. I tried not to be a dick about it, but, you know, I did just break out of that little circle and get away from there. But, yeah, so that's the thing. And so that's really, and, you know, with her, to be honest, I had nothing against her at that moment, but I don't like the energy that she brought either of the two times, and that's probably something I should have mentioned earlier. Something about her energy is very needy to me.
Oh.
So that's
Okay.
probably why we didn't become friends right away. Like how I said, with some people I do and some people I don't. Something about her energy is very needed to me. Also, like I said, I'm a public figure, so I do understand, and I use that half jokingly, but really I am a public person and I accept that. And so I know that people are going to talk to me in the DMs like that, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of people pretending like that transfers to real life. We're not actual friends. So you can be nice to me and I'll be very nice to you. We can be very pleasant with each other. But let's not pretend that we're closer than we are. Because I know we're not and you know we're not. So let's be honest in our dealings with each other and just be where we're at in our relationship. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't really want her next to me because, one, I don't like your energy, and two, I don't want to be fake with you.
Right. Do you feel like that? Do you have that feeling even more so because you're about to go on stage?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I want to think about what I'm going to do on stage, and I don't really want to talk to, because she's done open mics a couple of times from what I heard, but for me, she's a non-comic. And so I don't really want to talk to a non-comic, or especially somebody that's coming to me in any kind of producer type of capacity. I don't need to talk to you right now.
Yeah.
I want to think about what I'm going to do on stage or whatever. And it was a hot audience. Not only was it crowded, they were a hot audience. They were super fun. So I'm just getting ready to have a good set, and I don't really want that next to me, whatever it's going on, you know? But I'm being polite. I'm being cordial. So I don't let any of this be known to her. I'm just like, okay, cool. And I just like move my stuff over. And then sure enough, she sits down next to me and she's like, first off, I want to say that we're really excited to have you. And I'm just like, doing good so far. But I know it's going somewhere.
Waiting for the other shoe.
Yeah, you don't just tell me it's good to have me. You know, there's something happening here. So she says that part, and like I said, in my head, I'm like, okay, we're doing all right now. And then she was like, she's like, yeah, but me and Anthony, we decided to put you last because we were talking about it, and I wasn't sure how my audience is going to respond to you because I live in two worlds, you know. There's the comedy side, and then I am a coach for some of the most liberal, politically correct pole dancers and I was just like, you think I care what these whores and their simps think about my set? But instead, I just have to look at her like, you know, because I'm trying not to upset myself before I go on. But my instinct is to tell her to fuck off, you know, because I feel like I don't care about this. I do this show like I do any other show, and everywhere I go, people love me. My goal is always to give people the best experience because I am a professional comic, and I know that, you know, I'm here to do a job, and my job is to make them laugh. And so in my head, that's all I'm thinking is like, you know, why is this conversation even happening right now? And also feeling like if you don't like what I do or you don't trust what I do, then you shouldn't have booked me. You asked for me. I didn't even know I was booked on this show. So now I'm getting a speech about like what you think your audience might think about my stuff.
It's a little weird. Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, by saying that, she's basically saying, hey, we put you last because they might hate you.
Yeah.
And saying that right before you go on stage. So it's either like malicious or you're an idiot. It's got to be one of those two things, really. And I'm not saying it's one or the other, but it seems like it must be one of those two.
Idiot. But
Hey, if that's what it is, I don't know. But
yeah, well,
it could be a combination of the two, I guess. But like,
I
mean,
can
it's just
diagnose
an
this one.
asshole move, really.
Yeah, either way, I don't need to hear it, and so, like, I just look at her and I'm like, all right, cool, and so I go ahead and get up and get ready to go do my set, and Casey had just gone up and killed it like Casey Rocket does. Apparently, the dancer that went up right before, because it went a dancer, and then it went Casey, and then it went me. That's the way it was supposed to go. Well, the dancer before, there were these people called pole kittens that were the women that would go collect the money off the stage for the dancers. And so the pole kittens hadn't gotten on stage to get the money before the host announced that Casey was supposed to go up. And Casey walks all around the stage. So Casey was walking on one of the dancers' money, and the dancer was mad about it because apparently she's a germaphobe, which who's ever heard of a sex worker being a germaphobe? But okay, she's a germaphobe.
Like, hey, those dollar bills were so clean before you stepped on them.
Exactly. Casey just dirtied up all her money. Just stepped on her money. You know what else is going to be stepped on? That Coke you bought with that money. But
Yeah.
we're not going to go into that. But so she made a big thing of it to the point where Laser had to count her money for her, which I need to ask Laser how much money she got. That's who I should ask. I just talked to him the other night. I should have asked him. So Laser had to count her money for her because she was making such a thing of it, even with the club staff, that she was just flipping out because Casey had walked all over her money. And even made it a problem for Casey, made Casey feel bad about it because, Casey Rocket is one of the nicest people out there. Not to mention that the comics they had on the show were some of the best comics in Austin and also some of the most popular. Laser was on the show, which Laser has a huge, huge Instagram following, and so it's like all the way around just a disrespectful situation. I felt like one of the producers should have pulled her to the side and been like, look, stop acting stupid about your money. If it's something that's going on in your head, let it be in your head. Don't make it everybody else's problem, but this happens before I go on stage. Well, so by the time I'm supposed to go on stage, they announce me. I get ready to go on. The pole kittens have now gotten on stage to collect her money because apparently she was making a big deal of it off stage so that they had to get it while I was getting ready to go up. So I walk on stage and I'm watching them pick up money.
Did she think Casey was doing that like on purpose to be an asshole? Like she was like, he's stepping on the money. Like, is he walking around because he's trying to step on all the money?
I don't know what she thought. I think she's just a dumb person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't.
Which is fair, not everyone's smart.
Yeah, it's true. And these chicks just birds of a feather. So what happened was. They were cooped up in that green room. Okay. So
I thought they were kittens, but
the kittens are collecting. The birds were on the pole. Okay, so that apparently happened. So when I walk on stage, the pole kittens are collecting the money. Awkward start for me because I'm just standing out of the way, but have been announced. I'm standing kind of at the back of the stage so they can collect the money. And I'm annoyed because I just had this conversation about the audience or whatever. And so I just tell the audience that, you know, I've been warned that you guys might be politically correct, and I just want you to know, if that's your problem, let it be your fucking problem. You can leave. I'm the last comic on the show. It's time for you to go. You know, like,
Yeah.
I do that kind of shit, you know, because I'm mad. And really, I told everybody this, everybody that's involved in the situation, from Sunset to the girls. At that point, what I really wanted to do was just drop the mic and walk off stage and be like, finish out your fucking show however you want to finish it out. But like I said, I love Sunset.
That would have been awesome.
I know. I know. I've done it before. It's been years, but I have done it. I've even knocked over the microphone and then like with the mic stand, just like let it fall completely, and then it like caused the feedback where it was just like,
I pulled the cord out.
I just kept walking. Yeah, that happened in Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Manhattan Beach, one of the beaches. Yeah. But yeah, I was annoyed because the staff was being disrespectful during the show, and then I was just like, yeah, fuck this, and I just fucking.
What was it, like a check spot, and they were like fucking loud?
No, it wasn't. It was just a regular bar. It wasn't even a comedy club. It was just a bar I'd been asked to perform at, and the staff didn't like that they were having the comedy show, even though it was a good show. But it was like a ska bar or something like that. So, you know, they're used to being on the disrespectful side.
Yeah.
That's, you know, part of their... And I just wasn't. I was like, yeah. Well,
it's part of their persona.
Yeah, don't invite comics if that's what you want to do. Because I'm not used to people disrespecting.
I'll throw the fucking mic stand down, bitch.
Yeah. So I did that. But, which is what I felt like doing that night. But I went ahead and still had a good set for them. But I was so mad in my head that, you know, there was that conversation. Because for me, it's also like, you're basically letting me know before I go on stage that you have no faith in me. You have me here for $60 anyway, which is a steal, a bargain, you know, and like, I've been doing this for 20 years. So I don't know why you thought that I would need this conversation or what. Like, I was really, really mad and felt disrespected. And so I was like upset about that and doing my set. And so I was stuttering a little bit, you know, but I was still doing really well, you know, like I was having a good set, but it just wasn't like I wanted it to because I was so caught up in my brain. And so I get off stage, and then Ollie is backstage, and he was like, that was a good set. And I was like, no, it really wasn't. And then he was like, well, I've seen you kill it harder before. And I was like, yeah, I just don't know why this bitch thought I needed a fucking conversation that doesn't matter before the fucking show. And then Jonna walks back and she's like, are you talking about me? And I was like, yeah, I actually, and I just fucking really started yelling at her. You know what I mean? And because I was so fucking annoyed. And so I yelled at her. Then Anthony comes back, and then Anthony's like, you know, because he was coming back to do something. They couldn't hear me because it's super loud outside, so it's not like, you know, I was making such a scene that everybody's hearing me or whatever. And so Anthony comes back to do something, and he's like, what's going on? And I was like, well, this chick just told me that you guys saved me for last because you thought I was going to offend your audiences, and if you guys don't want me performing here, if you guys think I'm going to be too much for the audience, then just don't hire me. I don't need to get out of bed for this. I don't need to come out for this. Like, I could have been at home. I could have done other spots. This is not something that I need. And Anthony's like, well, that's not actually the way that the conversation went. And so then he starts telling Jonna, he like right in front of me, he's like, don't deal with the comics. You don't mess with the comics. You should have no interaction with the comics. We handle the comics. You handle the dancers. That's the way this is supposed to work. And so so I'm hearing that happen, and I'm like, okay, my work is done here. And I go ahead and walk out or do whatever I'm doing. Let them have their conversation because this doesn't have anything to do with me again. And so like I was very annoyed and felt disrespected by that. But I'm willing to let it go and not really let it be too much of a thing anymore. I already said what I said because when, you know, I had gotten to yell at her for a decent minute there. And I mean, like, when I say yell at her, yeah, I was talking in an elevated tone, but everything I was saying was completely necessary. Just as far as I've been doing this for 20 years, I don't need any kind of speech. Like, if you don't want me on, then don't have me on. You know, like all that kind of shit. Just letting her know what she needs to know moving forward if she's going to deal with comics. Because like I said, you do have access to the best comics in Austin right now. You had Casey Rockin on your show. You had, like, you know, it was Hans Kim was supposed to be on the show. It was, like, you know, good comics that are on your show. And you think you're going to treat us like shit and, like, pay us $25? And I don't know what deal anybody else worked out, but, like, you know, I had the $60 minimum if things go well at the door, and I knew it was just going to be $60 because they're not going to give me any more than that. I knew that already. But, like, assuming everybody else is there for $25, you expect us to get paid $25 and put up with your disrespect or the things that you want? Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if you have a clean show or cleaner show, PG-13, something like that, that is paying me $1,000 or more, then that's something we can talk about. And I'll plan my set ahead of time and we'll figure out what we're going to do. But if you're paying me $25 to $60 and you think I'm going to change what I do or think about what your audience wants because you're paying me this money, that's not the way that's going to work out. And so, yeah, I was very annoyed with that. So then we get to, like, it's time for me to leave. I end up leaving. I go to Creek to cool off, which we talked about that story earlier, and that doesn't turn out to be the most relaxing thing. That's nobody's fault on the show, but it happened the way it happened. Then we're supposed to wait to get our money, and so they're supposed to pay us by Friday. And when they pay me my money, they only send me $25.
What?
Yeah, they sent me $25.
Oh.
And so I get that and I send.
But they made like $7,000 minimum.
I would imagine they probably, after the split, let's go with the original number, the $20 at
200 tickets.
Yeah,
4,000.
So let's just say they clear 4,000 just as a number.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So if after paying out the club and whatever else, you're walking away with $4,000 and you still try to pay me and the other comics each $25. And then let's also say that I heard a rumor that the dancers were each getting paid $125. So each of the comics, so the dancers are worth 5 times what the comedians are worth.
Plus a bowl of money. So
yeah, plus a bag
like
of money on the way out.
More like 10 times.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah. And so, you know, I let Claire know right away. And in the interim, before I got my money, I sent Claire a message at a point saying, like, hey, you know, the other night I got upset or whatever, but if you want to talk about it at some point, like, you know, I'm open to talking about it so that moving forward, you know, like maybe how to deal with the comics a little bit better. Yeah, and it was that polite. It was, of course, that's not the exact words because I can't remember, but it was polite where it was just like, you know, if you know, want to actually talk to me or you want me to talk to you about it, I'll let you know what exactly I think you could do moving forward to have a better experience with the comics.
Which is like they already paid you what they paid you for your time, and now you're nice enough to offer like advice.
Yeah.
Beyond that.
Yeah, because you know, I had heard that she was like, you know, she felt bad about the fact that I got upset and, you know, that wasn't her intention and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was willing and, you know, like I said, I still, like, it takes a lot for me to really hate someone. I'll be mad in the moment. I'll be mad at the situation. But I'm not usually a person that's just going to completely be like, you know.
Hold a grudge.
Yeah, and it's a whole thing or whatever. It's not that big a deal. It was one night. I got upset in the moment. Like maybe you said something stupid. That's cool. We'll do better moving forward and have a better relationship after, you know, once you get me. And so
Right, so they paid you less than half of what they said they would, and then you called them out and then they paid you the rest?
Originally, that's why I have a problem with it. Because originally they tried to stick to we said we would give you $25 plus tips. And then I was like, that's insulting. That is not the conversation we had. I talked to Claire about it. And then I hit Claire up individually and I told her, even though I feel like everybody should have just believed me and given me the other $35. I've done this.
I mean, because it's pretty insane to, like to question it is like, oh, is basically saying Ty is trying to trick me to steal $35.
Exactly. I would burn my
wild.
professional reputation over $35.
That's your scheme.
Yeah. And of course I went straight to like very angry because here's the way I feel about it. Like I'll run you through my thinking. I feel like, are these bitches really going to make me pretend like I care about $35 right now? And I sat with it for a second and I was like, well, hold my purse, I guess. I guess these bitches are going to make me pretend like I care about $35 right now. And I fucking lost it.
That does seem like the toughest part about it is like, obviously it's principle, but like while you're going through this, you're like, that's the most annoying thing is it's $35. So you don't actually give a fuck.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that they think they can fuck you over is what makes you feel like I have to say something. I have to push this.
Yeah, and the amount of money that you made and the fact that you were disrespectful the night of, you try to further disrespect me by shorting me $35. And so I hit Anthony up, Anthony from Sunset, because, and Anthony, we've talked about this, so he knows the way that I feel, and he's not at all being blindsided right now. And technically, I don't like the way that Anthony handled it. And like I said, he knows that. It's something that we've talked about, but it's also not a thing between us. I've been at Sunset since then. I will continue to be at Sunset. I have a great relationship with Sunset. I love Sunset. That's not changing. I also do get along with Anthony really well. I do like Anthony. I still do respect Anthony. But in that moment, I didn't like the way that he handled it, because he said that he would go ahead and get back to me. Just like, keep it chill for right now. Don't like lose it and be public about it or whatever. Just let me work on this behind the scenes. I'll talk to them. And then he said that he would call me back. Because, at first I messaged him. And then in my head I was like, this is better if I just talk to him real quick. And like, that's the way people should know that I'm serious about something, and where people should just handle whatever it is I'm talking about. Because I don't like talking on the phone. So if I say, let's talk, it's usually because I can get this point across to you very quickly if we just talk on the phone. And that's how serious I am about it, is that I actually want to talk about it and not just handle it through text or whatever. You need to know why it is that I'm annoyed with this situation and what transpired leading up. And so, because, obviously it was just me and Claire that had that conversation at Creek. Anthony wasn't there. Jonna wasn't there. It was just me and Claire talking right there next to the bar, where the bar and the bathroom are, like that little area right there. Yep. So when it's just us that had the conversation, and then I hit her up, and then she tries to send me in quotes what was said, and I'm like, that's not the entirety of the conversation we have. And it takes a lot for me to stay professional, because like there's a point with people where I feel like you're being disrespectful with me, and I just completely want to be as disrespectful with you in my way, which is going to be way more disrespectful than that little shit you think you're doing right now. I will call you whores. I will let you know what I really think about your little fucking pole dancing without actually showing anything shit. I am a different world when it comes to if we're just going to be disrespectful. So right now I'm still trying to stay somewhat professional, but also reminding you, when you keep talking about it's $25 plus tips, I'm not a stripper. I'm not working for tips. So if I wanted to be a stripper, I would be a stripper. I'm not. So stop trying to tell me about tips like anybody thought we were going to get tipped off this show.
Yeah, and you didn't, right?
Turns out Laser got like $240 in tips.
Oh, shit. Did he strip?
Huh?
Did he strip?
No, but he, like, who knows with Laser? He didn't strip, but, well, I don't know if I was supposed to say that. We might clip that. No, we'll leave that. But
okay.
That's the word on the street.
Maybe he said something. Maybe he had a bit where he was like, said, maybe I should get some tips too.
Who knows? But Laser also just got paid $25 for the show.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and they never corrected that with him, even after I made the thing about it. Because, like, it was like, for me, like I said, I know that my agreement was different, so they had to give me the 60 eventually, which is eventually what happened. But
you had to make a big deal.
Yeah, I had to argue about it, and Anthony did not return my call for more than 24 hours, and technically still didn't return my call. It wasn't until I saw Anthony at Creek like the next night or 2 nights later that me and Anthony actually talked about it. But I also wanted to talk to them all the way around because I had told them, like, let's have a meeting and actually talk about this. Because to me, it really is shitty. And that's where I feel like Anthony, as the booker, does have a responsibility to make sure that we as comics are taken care of. We should not be getting fucked over by a show that's happening at one of our local comedy venues that should have our best interest in mind, especially if they're saying, we're going to hook you up with these comedians. Because I got booked because Sunset said that I was booked. So Anthony's the one that said on my behalf that I would do this show. So if your friends aren't acting right, what I would have done if I was Anthony, and this is something that I talked to Anthony about, is what I would have done, and I have done things like this before. Anybody that really knows me from working with me in stand-up knows that I have done things like this before, is I would have bought the fucking debt, especially since it was just $35. So as soon as I told Anthony, hey, these chicks are trying to short me $35, I would have said, look, send me your Venmo. I'll send you the $35. Then I'll go talk to them and be like, look, because while I guessed at what they made that night, Anthony knows what they made that night because he works for the club. So he knows exactly how bad we all got fucked on this deal. Anthony also knows what the dancers made. So with Anthony knowing the whole back end, I really feel like he should have been like, sent me the $35 himself and then went to them and said, hey, don't be making our club look bad. Pay me my $35 back that I just had to pay to Ty because you guys are acting stupid right now. We know Ty well enough that he wouldn't do this, especially over $35. Like, everybody knows me well enough that, like, you know, neither of my purses are fake. One's a Louis, one's a fucking Gucci. You think I'm out here getting $35 a clip on these people? It's like,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
It's a wild accusation.
Yeah, and so with that being the case, I feel like that Anthony should have handled it that way, or at the very least called me back, because the reason that Anthony said that he hadn't called me back when we talked about it was because Jonna had told him that we were friends and that he felt like he was getting involved in a personal dispute at that point, like it was something that was happening between friends. And that's where I told Anthony, that is inexcusable. That is not at all a valid reason to not call me back, because all you had to do was call me back and I would have quickly told you that I did not have that and do not have that kind of relationship with Jonna. I would have told you that. I would have cleared that up right away. And that's another thing that people have to know about me, is whether or not I like everybody that I know or I like every friendship that I've ever had, I will never lie to you about what my relationship is with a particular person. Even if I don't like them now, if you were to be like, hey, 2 weeks ago, were you guys hanging out like fucking besties everywhere? I'd be like, yeah, that's not what it is now. But yes, and we do have a personal problem and I don't like them for X, Y, and Z. But also, I wouldn't get any club involved with that because there's a difference between personal and professional. So when Anthony's trying to tell me that it's personal, it's like, how could it ever be personal when the fact that money is involved should tell you that it's professional? And so that, and I told Anthony that, you know, you've got to have respect for the fact that you do have access to a pool of comedians that these people otherwise wouldn't have access to. So if you're going to be acting on our behalf and saying that we'll do things for these people, then you have to take care of us. And while maybe, yeah, for Sunset itself and a Sunset produced show, we would take $25 or $30 because we like and respect Sunset, that doesn't mean you start loaning us out to the neighbors like we're housekeepers. You know, it's not like, oh, my friend needs her house cleaned. Let me send you over there for a couple hours. That's not this kind of situation.
Yeah, I feel like I could see how it kind of hurts just because, like, you're watching people make thousands.
Yeah.
And then it's just taking advantage at that point. Like, you're just like, yeah, $30 is good, whatever.
Yeah, and finding out that the dancers at base are making 5 times what the comedians are. It's a comedy and pole dancing show. It's,
at a comedy club.
yeah, and it's on the flyer that way.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me, and I can understand if you think it's a little more of a specialized skill, so you pay them a bit more, but 5 times what we're getting paid? That doesn't sound fair at all.
Call me crazy, but I think that stand-up comedy is harder than stripping.
I think so too.
That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, well, I've done both.
Both
Which one do I
professionally.
still do? Which one am I doing 20 years later?
Yeah. Gave up on stripping. You're like, you know what? I don't think I can make it in this business.
I was like, what's all the dancing about? Jesus Christ, this is boring. After a while, you get tired of that. But it was quick. But no, I mean, like, yeah. Well, stand-up is, like, it's a whole different thing. And I do feel like stand-up is more valuable. But if you want to say because of the athleticism involved with swinging around a pole, cool. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
So give us each 100, give
The
them
tough thing
125.
I think one of the biggest differences is, and this is between stand-up and anything, but, like, when you become a stripper, you are immediately getting paid.
Yeah.
When you do stand-up comedy, you don't get paid for, like, 48 years.
Yeah, I didn't get paid, honestly, for, like, well, other than, like, a $10 spot here or a $5
shows here and
spot
there.
there. Honestly, I didn't get paid for the first 5 years that I did stand-up. It really
Yeah.
was just...
Some strippers in their first 5 years make like $1 million.
Oh, yeah. Well, and and yeah, so it is like that. It is like,
Yeah.
I've worked this hard to get paid to do this, and now you're trying to short me for the most insulting amount of money. And so, but
any one factor, like, on its own is like you could see past it, but it's like all of these things together, just like too much.
yeah, well, that's why I wanted to have the whole conversation. That's why I wanted to do the podcast about it, because one thing at a time, it sounds petty.
Yeah.
But when you add it all up, it's like, oh, this is just a pattern of disrespect.
Yes.
Towards not only the comedians, but myself personally. And I am very happy to say that Anthony, once he heard me out and we talked in person, he fully got it. From the very beginning, though, this is very important that I say this, because I like to give credit where it's due. But from the very beginning, the entire rest of the Sunset staff 100% had my back and got what I was saying. Because if you think I didn't get everybody on a group when I was doing that, like, I'll be 100% honest. These motherfuckers hit my crazy button that day, and I fucking showed them exactly how crazy I'll get over $35 fucking dollars. I got sent that $35 right away, and what happened was I had to be sent the whole 60 because I sent the 25 back and just put in the memo, not agreed upon amount.
That's a good move.
Yeah, and so I was just like, yeah, I'm not accepting that, because legally that can be accepted as a settlement. If you actually cash or take out the money that somebody gives you that's not the right amount, they can say, well, you agreed to that. It's
You agreed to it
when
by
you took it.
not sending it back. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
so I'm not taking that because it's not the right amount. So either pay me the right amount or just don't pay me at all, and then I can just let everybody know that you're 100% not paying people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one way or the other.
How funny would this be on like Judge Judy,
I
like
know.
stand up, a stand up comedian on Judge Judy for a spot payment?
Yeah, and talking about the pole down.
Yeah, this could be a sketch.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, so I do have to say that, and that's why, like, overall, I don't hold this against Sunset. It really is on Stand-Up ATX or whatever that group is.
Punchline
ATX, yeah. It really is on them because they should have just corrected it immediately once they realized, or once I brought it to their attention. They should have just corrected it. And Claire shouldn't have tried to make me... I don't know why these people think. And I know that that's one of the reasons Jonna doesn't actually want to talk to me. Because Jonna was also saying that, Sunset had told them that it was okay to pay us that. Like, that's, like, and it was like, no.
just deflecting responsibility.
Yeah. And I don't know why she thought I would actually go for, like, or what I was going to say is the reason that she doesn't want to talk to me is because she would have to, like, own up to the fact that we're not friends.
But you gave her bread.
Exactly. Like she would have to own up to the fact that she's lying about the fact that we're friends to Anthony in order to make it seem like it's a personal situation, and you're not going to be able to lie to my face about what our relationship is. That's just not going to be possible. You know, I will not at all like go for that, and I'll really run you down like a lawyer on that if you try to like be like, but we are friends. I'll be like, really? Tell me what relationship we have that actually makes us. At what point did we
She
become
have
friends?
your phone number?
She does have my phone number, but it's because what's it called? Ali Musa that one night, because maybe I shouldn't admit that, but
No, admit it.
no, because the thing was she had mentioned that like she couldn't be without her phone, so she has 2 phones, I believe was the thing.
Drug dealer.
Who knows? It's so shady. But yeah, she has 2 phones. And so she was gonna, and I believe this is the way it went, or I'm gonna ask Ollie the exact, maybe Ollie won't want to tell me now, you know, because he's like, bitch, you have a big mouth. But so the thing was, she was gonna take her phone in to kill Tony 10-year anniversary, and then the other phone she was gonna give them.
Oh, she was gonna yonder one and then sneak her other one in.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
And so since she was going to be the only one that had a phone, she had to have my number. So if her and Ollie needed anything or they were going to leave, because me and Ollie had come to pick me up. So me and Ollie were riding together.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he was my ride. And so if they decided to leave before I was ready to leave or whatever, they were going to text me. Because, you know, they, like when you go in the way I did, you don't get yondered or anything. You just bring your phone in with you
Backstage.
yeah so
Yeah.
I was gonna have my phone, and so they were gonna get a hold of me if they had to leave earlier or something like that so I could meet them. They turned out to leave without me anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you know, it was walking distance to Sunset, which is where the after party was, and then I ended up catching up with them anyway, and it didn't matter. It was not like a thing at all. I didn't even have any feelings about it. But yeah, I think she does have my number in her phone.
Sound pretty chummy.
Besties. But, you know, that's the story. Any questions?
Well, I mean, it's good that it's all resolved, but that's a lot of stress over such a little thing. Like, if it was me personally, even if I didn't agree, like say you asked me for the extra 35 and I genuinely didn't agree to that, and I was like, this guy's lying, I would still send it.
Well, that's how you know.
I would send $35 in that situation after making thousands. I would be like, okay, I didn't agree to this, but I would send it just so I didn't have to have a conversation about that.
Well, that's what you would think, but it's also the way that you know that was the actual agreement. Because if you've ever dealt with strippers before, if they don't owe you something, they're not giving it to you. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have caved and sent me the money, and the money got sent like after
Who was the one that actually sent it?
Claire
Oh,
went ahead and
okay.
corrected it after all. But she, after trying to lie to me, like,
I'm
you know.
surprised too, because I mean, I don't know any of these people, but it sounds like, based on everything you said about her before that part, that she wouldn't have been the type of person to care or lie about something so insignificant. Like, it really doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think I know anyone personally that would even have it in them to go out of their way to lie about something so little.
And the thing is, I think that she genuinely did just forget that was what she had agreed to in the thing. But rather than just being like, you know, a
Take
big
your
enough
fucking word
person
for
to
it,
just be
yeah.
like, okay, that was a mistake. Instead, you're going to try to hold firm to the $25. But, you know, like, that's why I would pay it, because I would honestly think, especially if it was a person like me I was dealing with, because, you know, you can tell when people are trying to bullshit you, and you can tell when it's just a person's thing, you know? And so it's like, if a person like me hit me up and was like, hey, there was a bit of a discrepancy, it's whatever, and I made that much money especially, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, because, like, that's what bothered me about it, is if I take the gamble on your show and agree to do it for the 25, because had nobody shown up, I wouldn't have made a deal about the 60. at all,
course
because
not.
that's not the deal. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, had it been an audience of even like 20 people, I still would have been cool with the $25, because I know when it comes to Instagram ads or Facebook ads or whatever, all the behind the scenes shit is you're paying, plus what you're paying the dancers, plus what you're paying the other comedians, especially if I didn't know the dancers are getting 125 each and we're getting 25 each, you know, especially if I didn't know that, even just at the regular cost, you know, because if you've got 8 performers performing for $25 each, then what's that, $200? And then you figure like maybe you spend a minimum of $200 on Facebook ads, that's $400. You have 20 people in the audience, it's $20 per ticket, let's say at that point, you know, then it's still the $400. So really, you didn't even break even. You're still in the hole because of, I'm sure, other costs that you incurred, like having the flyer made or whatever you have to do that's on top of it. So you probably at that point lost $100 or so. And so I'm not going to sweat you and be like, you know, hey, I actually set a minimum of 60 and now I don't. It's like we sold 20 tickets.
Yeah.
It
But
clearly
they
wasn't a
fucking
success.
Sold the bitch out
Yeah.
and made thousands.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're still paying each of us.
I like
25.
this story. I think it's interesting. I think it's just amazing that you could be 20 years into like a successful, legitimate career in comedy, and also like just respected by other comedians at the highest level of comedy, and still have to go through this. Like,
For
it's
$35.
it's actually incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me, and
Yeah.
I think that's why I think it's an interesting story.
Yeah, but also what people have to remember is I don't mind doing this, like, and doing it like this, because for me it really doesn't matter. But for some of the comics on the lineup that are, because, you know, comedy's hard. And when you're first starting to go, like me, I can go on the road, or there's also my YouTube now, or there's different things where I'm getting money. But with, you know, a lot of the comics, they actually do count on that $30. So while I can be shitty and be like,
Yeah,
you know,
that could have been their fucking like meal.
yeah, that could be their dinner. So while I can be shitty about it and be like, I don't fucking care. I remember a time when I really did.
Yes.
I remember when that was my gas money. And so that's who you're really fucking over. Like, don't worry about me really when it comes down to it, in the way of like, play the fucking violin. It's like, don't worry about me in that way. But as far as the comics that are getting shorted that actually do need the fucking money, and nobody should have to grovel for their money. Nobody should have to come to you and say, hey, I don't know if you get it, but this is my electric bill right now. It's not about me just shaking you down for an extra $35 because I have nothing better to do in a day. This really is money that I need right now.
Yeah, and you just made me watch these strippers come into the comedy club, make 5 times as much as us, and then walk into the green room with a basket full of money in our face, and then still.
That was the other thing I forgot to tell you that they complained about. Claire also complained to a couple of people, and I don't mind saying this because she complained to a couple of people, so it's not like she can go to any one person and be like, I know you're the one that told Ty this. No, you got a big mouth. And so she actually complained because she said comics were getting in for free and that she wanted money for the comics that had come in. Well, one, it's a comedy club, and it's just customary that we always get into the club free. Nobody was in the club because they also were talking about how there were half-dressed dancers in the green room. It's like, well, wear a fucking robe if you feel that modest. But like I said, I was in the green room from the time that, you know, I got there until the end of the show. And I can tell you there were 0 comics in there just being creeps or hanging out for no reason. It wasn't that kind of green room.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a full green room. Most of the time it was me, one of the other girls on the show, and then Laser was back there for a minute, but not very much. Laser was out on the floor watching the actual show, you know, and it really was nobody back there for there to be a complaint about, you know. I mean, like, at random points, there'd be, like, somebody that went back to go do something, but it wasn't that kind of green room. You know, I was, like I said, I was back there from the time I got there until it was over, and it wasn't that kind of green room.
Yeah. It's hard to make the situation more ridiculous than it already is, but how funny would it be if they were like, yeah, about 10 comics showed up, didn't pay for tickets, they got in for free. That's $200. And we paid out 5 of you, $25 each. So you guys actually owe us $75.
Yeah.
Just Venmo request you for like $20.
Yeah, well, they were actually complaining about it to the club.
Wild, yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Which I
complaining.
mean, if there are seats available, like it's like they got close to selling it out, but there were still seats for comics to sit. Like it's not like they were people getting turned away at the door that wanted to buy a ticket, right?
Yeah, and I also don't know even the number because, like, I walked, like, after the show, I walked out and walked around or whatever, and there weren't a bunch of comics just milling around. It wasn't that kind of show.
Yeah.
It just I don't know what they're complaining about. I mean, like, what? Maybe a maximum of probably 5 comics, maybe that got. I don't know what they were talking about. And it's like, do you not understand how a comedy club works? Because I know that I've been to some really big comedy clubs that had huge headliners on stage and gone not as their guest, but just because I was, a regular at that club. And nobody's been like, hey, he didn't pay for a ticket. Everybody just knows if you're a comic and it's a comedy club, then you're just going to be let in.
Yeah.
We're not bringing dates.
Unless it's sold out.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, then and I saw that happen at the door when I was walking in. I can't remember who it was, and I wouldn't be shady if I did, but I do remember hearing, I should say, I didn't see it happen. I heard it happen because I was walking past because, what happens to other people isn't my business always. And so
sometimes
I heard, sometimes, but that time it really wasn't, because once I hear no, I'm like, that's not my world. And I just keep walking. And so I heard somebody get told, we're not letting anybody up that isn't either an audience member with a ticket or an actual part of the show.
Yeah.
So I know they weren't being that willy-nilly with it because I literally remember that happening. And really, I just can't remember who it was. But yeah, I remember that as I was walking in, they told somebody that. So, that's the story of the pole dance situation. And so I don't know, maybe other comics will listen to this and think I was just being petty or that, I just wanted something to do with my day. But I promise you I didn't. Like, really, that was part of why I was so mad at the end of all of it was because I did feel like, because, I don't know if people think I'm just sitting around doing nothing or what people think, but like during that time I was at the gym, I was trying to edit shit, I was getting my life done, but I'm having to take time out to send these stupid text messages like, reminding people that that's not the way it went, that
and plus it's like it's not just the time too, it's the fact that you have to now think about this.
Yeah.
Which is worse than spending the time to whatever, send a text, it takes 2 seconds, but like to have that going through your head throughout the day while you're trying to do other shit.
Yeah.
It's just that unnecessary stress for absolutely zero reason.
Yeah, it's been added to my to-do list.
Yeah.
Now I've got to follow up on this text.
Yeah.
I got to text Anthony. Anthony, don't make me do that again, please. We talked about it. I was very clear in person. Don't ever make me call you. I was mad. I mean, Anthony knows how mad I was because I'm indiscriminate when I get angry. It's like, because especially like that situation, because it's like, I wouldn't be bullshitting you for this. I wouldn't sweat you over this, I mean, like, and I would never ask for anything that wasn't owed to me. I've been doing this forever. I don't have that reputation. It's not like I'm just running around all the time, it's like, how much did they short tie this time?
Yeah, Thai Rivera, he's always tricking people out of $35.
Yeah, you can go to all the cities I've lived in, which I've lived and worked on, the LA scene, the Phoenix scene, Vegas scene, and now Austin scene.
That's why you keep leaving.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's like everybody, like my $35.
He steals $35 and then just leaves town. Gets out of Dodge.
One time I told, when this was all going on, I told John Carden, who, is my best friend. He's so fucking obnoxious, though. I told him, I was like, and I wouldn't do this over $35. And then he was like, I seen you do it over $5. And one day we'll talk about the Haha Cafe, but that's going to be enough for this episode. That'll be enough for this episode of Unbothered by Thai Rivera. Just so you guys know, Kevin, until he gets tired of my antics or I get him canceled.
Is that the plan?
It's not the plan. It's just what happens, Kevin.
Okay.
So, until you get tired of my antics or you get canceled, Kevin will be helping me out with Unbothered because, one, I like talking to Kevin. We might end up talking about this, like, mini relationship I was in at some point. But that's how I decided I wanted Kevin to help me out with Unbothered, was because there are a few points, because, sometimes when you're remembering a story, like, there's parts where you kind of bullshit yourself or you realize that you're bullshitting yourself. And I was telling Kevin the story, and there were a few points where he was like, wait, so you just... And I was like, yeah, you're right. That doesn't make sense. I guess somewhere I had an idea that something. And so Kevin will be helping me out with this. Like I said, he's also helping me out with editing. And so if you guys don't like the clips that come out, that's Kevin.
But you will like them. And plus, it's like you can only do so much with the editing. It's still you.
I know. That's why it's funny. That's why it's funny to pin it on you. It's like, that's Kevin. It's like,
if you don't like my views on the trans community, that's actually Kevin.
It's the best. Just be like.
I said a bunch of words. He clipped it, so.
He makes me sound like that in editing. You can make anything sound like anything in editing, you guys. That's what it is. So
it's actually not even him. I just AI'd the whole thing.
That's what it is.
He's like, make it say what you think I would say.
Yeah, what if I was complaining about everything and acting like I've got shit to do and it's all been AI the whole time? It's like he doesn't even do anything. He doesn't even type it.
Just record a pod that says the most inflammatory shit as me.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And you're like, I don't know. I don't even have views on that shit.
Just search unpopular opinions about trans people and mill through that and make it a story. Then that's what I'm doing. But yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. This has been Thai Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. I didn't feel like snapping my neck. Bye.
Everything bothersome.